He didn't need to shout to be heard. He didn't need to trend to be remembered. He just sang. For decades, he was the soundtrack to Ghana's most intimate moments: weddings, heartbreaks, homecomings, funerals, victories, and regrets. But near the end, something shifted. Daddy Lumba's music didn't just sound emotional. It started to sound like prophecy. And when he finally spoke his last words publicly, even those who had followed him for 30 years were left stunned. If you're hearing this, maybe I'm gone. Maybe not yet. But let me tell you something. This is the final chapter of a voice that never needed translation. If you've never been here before, you're right on time. Hit subscribe, and let's uncover what was buried. The voice that defined a generation. Before the tears and the headlines, there was a boy with a dream and a voice that didn't sound like anyone else. Charles Kwadwo Fosu was born in the small town of Nsuta Amangoase in Ghana's Ashanti region. His childhood was tough. His family, poor. He didn't come from royalty. He didn't have industry connections. But he had something stronger, a voice that could make grown men cry. And he knew it. He started singing in church, then in school. By the time he was a teenager, people were already saying, "That boy, there's something different about his sound." When he moved to Germany in the 1980s, the world of highlife music was changing. It needed something fresh, something emotional, something personal. And Daddy Lumba gave it exactly that. Birth of a legend. In 1989, with his partner Nana Achimpong, he dropped Yiaka Akwanchuomu. It wasn't just a hit, it became a movement. That album laid the foundation for a solo career that would redefine Ghanaian music for the next 3 decades. He didn't just make music, he told stories. About the man whose wife left him for money. About the woman who loved, lost, and prayed in silence. About the friend who smiled with you and poisoned you later. Every song had a story. And every story felt like your own. The man behind the myth. His voice was legendary. But very few ever knew the real man behind it. Daddy Lumba never chased fame the way others did. He rarely gave interviews. He avoided scandals, press runs, and public controversies. Why? Because for him, the music was enough. He once said, "I've seen people rise and fall because they chased spotlight instead of legacy. I just want to sing and leave something behind." He was known to be private, deeply spiritual, and unpredictable. One year he'd drop an album without notice. The next, he'd disappear completely. But even in silence, his music never stopped playing. And that was the first clue. He was preparing us for a world without him. When the silence began, then, one day everything stopped. No concerts, no new songs, no surprise appearances. For fans who were used to at least one Daddy Lumba track a year, the silence was deafening. At first, people thought maybe he was working on a new album, or taking a break. But then it stretched to months, then years. In an age where everyone's online, tweeting, going live, and chasing viral moments, Lumba did the opposite. He stepped into the shadows, and rumors began to swirl. Whispers in the dark. He never announced it, but somehow, we all felt it. Some claimed he was gravely ill. Others said he had converted fully to spiritual life and was done with music. But Lumba never confirmed anything. Instead, he posted small, cryptic notes, many of them sounding more like prayers than announcements. "The earth has no sorrow that heaven cannot heal. If I go today, I'll go smiling." And his old songs? They started trending again. Not because they were newly released, but because suddenly they felt different. Almost like he was singing to us about what he knew was coming. The final performance. Hook. He didn't say it was the last time. But his eyes, they told the story. In late 2022, fans were stunned to see Daddy Lumba walk onto stage at a private show in Accra. He looked different. Thinner. Slower. But his voice, still untouched. He sang Abenwa Aha, Dangerous, and Sika Asim. And during Teresa, he closed his eyes for nearly a full minute, just letting the music wash over him. When he opened them, tears were already running down his cheeks. He looked out at the crowd and said, "This may be my last song for some of you. But remember, I loved you all." And with that, he left the stage. He didn't take a bow. He didn't wave. He just walked away. And fans didn't know it then, but they had just witnessed the end of an era. The last words. Then came the recording. Soft, simple, unforgettable. It wasn't professionally done. No studio, no lighting, no press. Just a quiet video, posted online, of Lumba sitting under a tree. He was dressed in plain white. No sunglasses, no chains, just stillness. He looked into the camera and spoke like he was talking to an old friend. "If you're hearing this, maybe I've gone, maybe not, but I want to say thank you." He thanked his fans. He thanked his critics. He thanked God. And then he said this: "You don't get to choose how long you live, but you do get to choose how deep you love. I tried to love you all, through every note." He closed the video with a single line: "Remember me, but live for yourself." That was the last time we heard him speak. Ghana breaks. When the news came, the country didn't just cry. It froze. It was early morning when the announcement hit radio stations. Breaking news: Highlife legend Daddy Lumba has passed away after a long illness. The country was never ready. Facebook flooded with tributes. Artists who grew up on his music canceled their shows. Thousands played his songs in taxis, shops, and living rooms, all day. Some danced. Some prayed. Some just sat, in silence. Because in losing Lumba, Ghana didn't just lose a musician. It lost a piece of its heart. What he knew, and what we missed. In the end, he'd been telling us all along. When fans looked back at his lyrics, a pattern emerged. Masida Naba. Nyam Naira Me. Menya Mpo Mframa. All songs that hinted at legacy, departure, heaven, and goodbye. His last 3 albums were spiritual, reflective, and deeply personal. Even his album covers, once vibrant, had turned minimalist and symbolic. Some fans began calling him the prophet who sang instead of preaching. Because now, it all made sense. He wasn't afraid. He was ready. A legacy that can't die. They called him Lumba. But to many, he was more than a name. He was a father figure. A storyteller. A comforter for the broken-hearted. A memory for the homesick. And even in death, his music still heals. Radio stations still open shows with his voice. Young artists still sample his lyrics. And every December, his songs light up weddings and family reunions like he never left. Because in a way, he didn't. He lives wherever there's love. Wherever there's music. Wherever someone needs a reason to keep going. What he left us. Don't cry too hard for me. Sing, dance, and love. He said it himself. And that's how Daddy Lumba wanted to be remembered. Not with sorrow, but with sound. Not with silence, but with soul. Because his voice never really belonged to him. It belonged to all of us. And now, it echoes forever. If this moved you, leave a comment. What's the one Lumba song you'll never forget? Hit subscribe. This channel keeps the voices of legends alive. Share this with someone who needs to hear his final words today. He didn't just sing to us. He carried us. And in his final words, he taught us how to let go.